The PBA Tour calls Tucson home this week as his star-studded field takes to the lanes in search of the MSN Open title. In 8th place from Elmira, New York, Ryan Shafer. His win in Wichita last week was his 2nd title of the year. In 7th place, making his first TV championship appearance of the year, Tommy Delutz Jr. Normally, you can find him in the booth, but today, Randy Pedersen will be bowling for a shot at the title. Making the TV finals for the 2nd week in a row, our number 5 seed from Bel Air, Maryland, Tim Criss. Norm Duke is bowling today in search of his 19th national title. Duke has already won twice this year with wins at Dallas and the PBA National Championship, his 2nd major. Bob Learn Jr. is our number 3 seed. Bob lost in last week's final in Wichita. In 2nd place, Patrick Healey Jr. looking for his 1st PBA title. And our tournament leader, Criss Barnes, the 1998 Rookie of the Year and currently ranked number 6 in the PBA rankings. He's looking for his 1st championship since May of 1999. That's our field for today's MSN Open from Tucson, Arizona. For the 39th consecutive year, the PBA has come to Tucson, Arizona. Today, we are inside the Golden Pin Lanes for the MSN Open. Hello again, everybody. Along with my broadcast partner, Randy Pedersen, I'm Ron Thula. Now, Randy is usually my broadcast partner, but congratulations, Randy. You've qualified for the television finals, looking for your 13th PBA title.
Thanks, Ron. Yeah, this week I decided to go back to my day job. You know, it's not easy being up there in the booth, so I think I needed a week off.
Now, you're coming from the number 6 position. You have to win 4 matches. How difficult will it be?
Well, it's going to be really tough. 7 of the world's greatest players. I've got to win four matches, not to mention the tournament leader, Criss Barnes. He's all world. But you know what, Ron? I'm wearing my lucky underwear today.
We'll take your word on that. Now, take off your jacket, give me the mic, and as Randy would say, we have to see if my fella here has any maple moxie to win. So joining me through the tournament, he is a member of the PBA Hall of Fame, 20 titles to his credit, Brian Voss. And Brian, as Randy mentioned, we have the top 2 money winners here with Ryan Shafer and Norm Duke. Throw Criss Barnes into the mix. We've got a very experienced field.
Well, of the 8 finalists, 5 of them are rated in the top 10 in the world. They've all won tournaments with the exception of Patrick Healey, but he's been knocking on the door an awful lot lately, and he would be the sentimental favorite.
Now, Brian, you bowled in this tournament this week. You finished 13th, and the players have been talking about how the lanes have been very unforgiving.
Well, it was a demanding shot. Speed control was really important this week. There were a lot of splits on less than perfect shots. I think that's going to be the key today.
And as we take a look at the conditions on the lanes, synthetic, wide and short is the oil pattern, and the length of the oil is at 35 feet. We'll be talking about more as we go along, and we are ready. Seeds number 8, 7, and 6. Ryan Shafer, the number 8 seed. Tom Delutz Jr., the number 7 seed, and Randy Pedersen, the number 6 seed. Randy had his choice, Brian, whether to go first. He decided to go second because he wants to finish on the left lane. Little strategy to start things off. Tommy Delutz Jr. out of Flushing, New York, a 10-year pro, has 1 title to his credit.
Randy out there just wants to get loose. He's really comfortable on TV. If we look at his stats, he's won about 40% of the times that he's been on TV, so he knows how to do it. Gets the light hit. Good way to start.
12 titles to his credit, including the national championship back in '87 as Tommy Delutz. And that is something that doesn't happen very often on a TV.
Well, you know, the lights are on. Game on right now. I'm sure you wish you could have that back, but you just got to forget about it. It's early. A lot of time left.
A lot of 256 single pin conversions. The pros have made 253. That didn't go down. Here's Ryan Shafer, won last week in Wichita.
Ryan's just been on a tear lately. I mean, 6 telecasts this year already. Probably, if not for Norm Duke, the leading candidate for Player of the Year. And he's faced with a 10-pin too.
Number 1 on the money-winning list, Ryan Shafer, and here is Tommy Delutz, big New York Mets fan, living right outside of Shea Stadium.
And there we have the 35 feet of oil. If you don't project the lane down and keep your speed up, that's going to happen. I think he's pretty happy he only has a spare up there.
Shafer with the 10 to deal with. Ooh, my goodness. 2 in a row.
That's
Something we haven't seen this year.
That doesn't happen very often. And Randy's just kind of licking his chops right now. He goes up there, and guys give him 2 early opens.
Well, Randy and his lovely wife Becky in attendance, along with children Savannah and Chad Michael. But unfortunately, the kids came here a little sick. Randy got up this morning, caught what the kids had.
Oh, boy. And the same spare we just saw Tommy Delutz lead, the 3-6-10.
Now, the biggest thing, according to Randy and all the pros, ball reaction in this final. Here's Ryan Shafer out of Elmira, New York. #1 on the money winning list this year. Won Vegas and Wichita as the #1 seed in both. Now let's take a look at that spare that Randy Pedersen won.
All right, he just didn't get quite enough speed on it. Just leaves a 3-6-10, a relatively easy spare. Should have no problem making it.
He really felt with that 35 feet of well, he felt the condition was perfect for his type of ball.
Well, you know, this type of condition, and we have another open frame. We're not used to seeing this.
That's his wife, Becky? This type of condition, though?
Yes, it's a demanding condition. Speed control, you have to keep your speed up. Like I said earlier, it splits. They've been fortunate not to leave you right now, and that is another one. We don't see this very often, Ron.
Twice for Ryan Shafer, who has arguably been the hottest player on the PBA Tour this year. And as we take a look at the score right now, you can see Randy Pedersen, the only one with a strike, Shafer with a couple of open frames, Delutz with an open in the first.
It's anybody's game right now. We're looking for our first strike.
And Tom's not going to get it. Leaves the 7. 2-time William Patterson University All-American, Tommy Delutz. And here is Randy Pedersen out of Hollywood, Florida. Over $950,000 in prize money in his career.
Good speed on that one. Real good speed.
Brian, you made a great point. Randy Pedersen very seldom is off balance when he throws a ball.
He's got a classic finish, and I think you'll see that with a couple other players today. He very rarely loses his balance. And this week, all the players have got what we call free hook. With 35 feet of ball, the ball's going to hook for you. You're going to see a lot of strikes, but unfortunately, with that kind of condition, it can be a little erratic, and we might see some splits.
Ryan lost 5 of his last 6 matches last night. Seemed to be struggling a little bit and only averaging just a shade above 200 on the TV lanes. Still looking for a strike.
Now Ryan's got to be thinking to himself, he's had 2 single pins, he's missed both of them. This is a big shot. All right, we're going to see the 6-pin go to the wall, not quite get out of the gutter, just the 10-pin.
Well, he's happy about it. Right now, Randy Pedersen and Tommy Delutz Jr. lead in match #1. Beautiful Tucson, Arizona, and inside the golden pin lanes, we've got a battle in our 8-man format with 3-men shootout. Right now, Tommy Delutz Jr. and Randy Pedersen all tied up, and you made a point during the commercial, Brian, maybe a little nerves to get going here.
Well, there's really no excuse for missing a single pin. These guys are as good as it gets. I think it was just the lights, but they're all in the match.
That's what Tommy needed. Coming off a spare, that'll help. Randy Pedersen with a strike in the 3rd.
Randy can take a 20-pin lead over Ryan and a 10-pin lead over Tommy with a strike here.
Best finish this year, 22nd in Chattanooga.
The ball's got to hurry. Oh, and he gets the light hit.
I didn't see that emotion the last 3 weeks from this guy over here. Let's look at Tommy Delutz, the concentration.
The eyes. Tommy's got the eyes.
He needed that. Now Ryan Shafer, can he duplicate?
Ryan just to try and get back in the match. 6-7-10.
And Ryan really showed us something last week. He needed that big 10th frame in order to win the Wichita Open, and he got it. And he said that gave him confidence, but he's on a schneid as far as being in television appearances. The only time he's won when he's been the top seed. Only 2 in 17. Tommy Delutz Jr.'s got 2 in a row.
Tommy's happy with that. 6, 7, 10. He's just got to barely nick the 7-pin or the 6-pin on the right side, slide it over into the 7.
Ooh.
Ryan with 3 out of 4 open frames. Not the way you want to start a match, Ryan.
And here is Randy. Watch the way he digs his fingers into the ball. His hands this morning, he told me, were extremely sore. Had a lot of blisters. He said, first of all, I'm not used to bowling this much.
Strike here to increase his lead. And just a perfect dead flush shot for Randy. You know, when we're out here bowling 48 games plus another 30 games of practice, you need some calluses. Just great extension. Gets the ball out to about the 4th board, just dead flush. Good shot. And Ryan looking for his first strike. And
somebody go down and give him a 10 bill because he needs to buy one right now. He's been having problems with his second step, and he said he still felt he was struggling with it coming into this tournament. He had problems with it in Wichita, still struggling here in Tucson.
You know, I think the greatest, we're always fine-tuning, tweaking little tiny things in our game. It's very seldom where everything's in sync all of the time.
Oh, my.
And that is a very rare. Ryan Shafer is really known for being a good spare maker. He really is. Maybe he's just a little nervous today.
And he is well off the pace right now as Randy Pedersen with a 10-pin lead over Tommy Delutz Jr. And Tommy is up.
Tommy down 10 pins right now to Randy.
Said he spent some time with Fred Borden, one of the premier coaches of bowling, really helped him develop a straight game, which he said has really bailed him out this week.
The ball's got a hold.
Didn't do it.
Not real comfortable on the lanes. His last shot on the left lane was a Brooklyn. He was Brooklyn on this one. Just didn't get the ball out far enough to the right. Fortunately, leads just 6 pins. And now Randy to take a 21-pin lead. The ball's got a hold. 3-6-10. As we said earlier, the oil's down about 35 feet. There's a little transition going on, but not quite enough yet. The guys are still a little uncertain about how to play lanes. Tommy converts the spare.
In the second frame, Randy left these same pins, didn't make it. Not a problem this time.
Made it this time.
And a little pat on the back for Randy.
All right, let's look at Ryan Shafer, 52 in the 5th. If he strikes out, he can still shoot 200, which would put him in the match. So it's not over yet, but he needs his first strike. And he got it.
And he's got his first. So Ryan Shafer still has a pulse. We're in match number 1 from Tucson. We'll have more on Fox Sports Net right after this. Along with Brian Voss, I'm Ron Thulin, welcoming you back to our opening match from Tucson at the MSN Open. Right now, Randy Pedersen holding the advantage. Tommy Delutz in second place. Ryan Shafer coming off his first strike is in third.
If we remember the last time in the left lane, Tommy went to Brooklyn, got a strike. I think we're going to see this projected well to the right, which we did.
He called it.
And just a perfect shot.
He's really had some wrist problems. It popped in Wichita, caused him some problems, came here, still bothered him, went to a wrist surgeon just the other day, so there's not much you can do about it.
There we see it, just a dead perfect shot. And now Randy can maintain an 8-pin lead. Soft 10.
Pesky 7, or pesky 10, I should say.
Assuming he makes this spare, he'll maintain a 7-pin lead, and off in the wings is Ryan Shafer looking for his first double to have any chance in this match. And another 10-pin. Well, we've seen our share of 10-pins early. Should be throw the ball hard and straight, which he does. Perfect.
Well, Ryan Shafer will have the 10-pin to convert, and he wanted to make sure he passed on his best wishes and prayers to Jay Burgess, former tour player whose wife was killed in Houston last week. On the day he won in Wichita, he said it was a terrible situation, and he wanted to make sure that Jay and his family knew that everybody here on the PBA Tour, their thoughts were with him. Jay, we wish you our best, my friend.
Delutz in the 8th frame. If he strikes here, he'll take a 7-pin lead over Randy Pedersen going towards the end of the match. Big shot.
Not bad considering the way he started out.
And he gets that one well to the right, and he gets the 10 pin. Just barely nicks it, and that's a 7-pin lead right there.
He's talking to the pins. Is that a good sign?
That's a good sign.
It just detonates it.
Just, you see the 6-pin just barely hit that, and Tommy's reaction? Yeah, you deserve that. And Randy, dead perfect on the left lane. Randy and Tommy are loosening up now. They're getting a feel for the lanes. I think Ryan just basically wants to save face, get some strikes here, and get out of the way.
Calling Randy the answer man.
The answer man.
He answered that. Only person to win from the top seed this year, and Ryan Shafer's done it twice. Ranked number 3 in the PBA right now.
And this time he gets the 10-pin out.
Well, that's what we saw last week.
All right, here we go, 9th frame. Big frame right now for Tommy. If he doesn't strike here, Randy can get up there and keep striking and shut him out. He needs to get this strike to maintain the pace with Randy. He's currently 3 pins ahead. 9th frame, big shot. And he's had trouble on this left lane. See if he gets it out to the right. He did. Fortunate just to leave the 4-pin.
Now, Randy's obviously a seasoned veteran. He knows that has opened the door for him.
We're going to watch the ball snap at the last second. The 10-pin almost stood up with it, and I think that he knew it was going to be high. Just fortunate, like I said, to leave just the 4-pin. And Randy now.
Pivotal.
Big shot to take an 8-pin lead. Looks good. Just dead flush. Dead flush. He's not going to get too excited yet.
Well, get him a cup of coffee with that sweet roll.
Tommy needs to make this fair. And he does. Stuck a little at the line. Nonetheless, stays in the match.
Well, a little slip on the approach.
A little slippery, but these guys got a lot of athletic ability. He's looking down there. Sometimes guys do that just for an excuse on a bad shot.
No. And here's Ryan. 2 out of the last 3 frames, he's knocked all the sticks down.
Not to be today for Ryan. Just the 4-pin. And now Tommy Delutz. If Tommy strikes out in the 10th frame, he can finish with 216, which would force Randy to get the first strike to win.
Randy possibly a 234.
Good projection, and just an excellent shot.
He's still in it.
He's still right there.
Pressure now switches over to the man from Hollywood, Florida. Is Ryan Shafer trying to finish things up?
Makes the spare. Like I said, just trying to get out of the way. All right, Tommy looks like he's going to take a re-rack on 16.
Why do they do that?
It's either one of 2 things. He either didn't like the rack or he's buying time. One or the other. It's a big shot for him. This can take the lead.
But do you want to buy time, or is it something you want to? Wouldn't you rather just get up there and bowl instead of having to think about it a little more?
I think that varies from player to player. Maybe he's trying to ice Randy.
Bowling's version of calling a timeout at the free throw line, huh?
That's it. Big shot. Just to take the lead. Dead perfect. Excellent shot. And now Randy's got to respond.
Tommy Delutz with 1 title to his credit. Randy Pedersen with 12.
Randy knows he needs this strike. The 8-10 split. Just gave it a little bit too much room to the right. It didn't quite make it back. A devastating leave. And basically, it looks like Tommy's going to win this first match. Just trying to hit the head, basically.
And what a disappointment for broadcast partner Randy Pedersen, because the way Tommy Delutz started out with an open in frame number 1, leaving a pin, and coming back to win it. And he will advance to round number 2. Tommy Delutz Jr., our winner of our first match. Ryan Shafer finishing up a day that probably one of those things you just go home and forget about.
Well, you know, we've got the U.S. Open next week. He's, I'm sure he's real pleased with this week. Obviously today he didn't have it done, but
there's always next week. We have match number 2 still to come. Our winner, Tommy Delutz, has advanced. We'll be back. Welcome back to Tucson, Arizona. The Golden Pin Lanes, 1 match into the books. Match number 2 set to get underway. Tommy Delutz Jr., the winner, 215. Randy Pedersen at 200, and Ryan Shafer had a tough afternoon. He finished with 161. And now Tommy moves on to take on Tim Criss and Norm Duke in match number 2. Let's take a look at some of the other finishers today here throughout the week at the Tucson Open.
Amuleto Marcelli made a real big run last night. Actually came down to the 10th frame and didn't quite make it.
Walter Williams Jr., the defending champion.
And who's that guy there?
That's a good-looking guy out of Atlanta, Georgia. Plays some of the better golf courses, I might add. There's something about you guys in golf, by the way. And 17th through 20 is Steve Hoskins out of Tarpon Springs, Florida.
George Branham with a real good week, as did Curtis Woods, and Ozio was up there in the lead earlier on, too.
And wrapping up the top 24 here in Tucson, Mike Edwards out of Oklahoma City.
Mike had a real good week, as did the other players. I'm sure that those guys are looking at a little tune-up for next week's U.S. Open.
And we've got the handshake, and we're ready. Hopefully in just a couple of minutes, Randy Pedersen will come up in the booth and join us, and we'll pick his brains on how the lanes are performing this afternoon.
Here's our first look at Tim Criss, really one of the hottest bowlers this year. You're going to see a very relentless shot-making individual here. He just goes up there and does the same thing over and over again. Great balance.
Out of Bel Air, Maryland. He said it was important to get a strike on the first ball, he told us last night. Joining us, Randy Pedersen. And Randy, that left lane seemed to be giving everybody some problems.
Yeah, the left lane's a little tough. I, at the last minute, chose to finish on that lane because that lane had a little more hook to it.
Tommy Delutz. And Tim Criss finishing up. You have to give Tommy the credit because the way he started out, he never gave up.
Yeah, he stepped it up in the 10th frame and did what he had to do to win. And I didn't make the shot I needed to make.
The lanes are real sensitive right now. You got to make good shots or else.
And here is Norm Duke, ranked number 4 in the PBA, number 2 on the money winning list. Ryan Shafer passed him last week. He'll probably flip-flop again.
You're going to see Norm Duke playing the lanes a little different than the other guys. He's throwing what we call a knuckleball, just not very much hook, just trying to go right at him. And that's good for staying out of trouble. And with the free hook, as we said earlier, he can still get a lot of strikes.
Tim Criss, who won the PBA National Championship in '99, he finally got the recognition I think that everybody was waiting for him to get through that victory.
That ball's going to stop hooking.
Healey said he learned something being in the television finals last week, not to rush, just to take his time. Here's a man who's been in a lot of TV finals. Norm Duke.
Norm is known as the best parachuter on our tour. We're going to look at Tim. It just doesn't get far enough to the right. Just a perfect Brooklyn. You know, a little farther right, and you could have an open. Instead, he gets a strike. Just a real good break. And now Tommy for an early double on the tough left lane.
Still tough, Randy.
Yeah. You know, I mean, depending on what Norm does on the right lane, I think hooking the ball is a mistake. I think you got to try to go as straight as you can.
Well, Tim Criss just went and got another ball.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to try to go straighter.
Norm Duke out of Claremont, California. Won here in Tucson twice. You see the career titles for him.
Solid 8.
Just meant to say Claremont, Florida, I might add, instead of California.
That's 2 great shots so far, 9 each time. And Tommy with a spare.
You know, the thing here is both shots were high flush. You know, when the lanes are tough, not to use a Bowism, but straighter is greater.
You can use it.
Okay, thank you.
And you'll see Norm go dead straight at this. No hook whatsoever. He makes it perfect.
Norm didn't have a whole lot of luck on lanes 15 and 16 during the week. Averaged just about 177.
He's going to do better than that today. And now Tim, he just needs to get the ball projected more to the right with a little more speed. Still didn't do it enough.
Very consistent bowler, top 10 the last 4 years, currently number 10 on the PBA.
You know, and the lanes are breaking down as, I mean, after every shot that these guys are throwing. I mean, in our match, I moved my feet probably 3 times during the match, and they're burning up pretty quick.
He likes that right lane, guys.
Tommy likes the right lane.
That's pretty smart of me to let him finish on that lane, huh? Good call, Randy.
Good
Way to go, buddy.
strategy.
That's why I'm sitting up here.
Tim at the 6'10", makes it on the left side.
Well, Norm Duke was in 2nd place going into the final game last night. Fell to 4th.
Well, the lanes broke down on him. Most of the week he was playing real straight, right about where he's playing at now. That's a good shot right there.
That's what got him 2 titles this year in Dallas and in Toledo at the National Championship. And right now, Tim Criss down by 11. Tommy Delutz up by 1. Norm Duke just down by 1 as we head to frame number 4.
You know, Tim has made 3 bad shots, and he's only 11 pins down. He's got to feel good about that. Right now, he just needs to figure out, what do I got to do? I either got to create more speed, or I got to get that ball to the right. Gave that one a lot of room, and it made it back.
That'll work.
5 out. And now Delutz for the first double on the tough lane. And he'll have to finish on this lane, so he better figure it out pretty soon.
He won 5 of his last 6 matches yesterday. Going a little south on that, huh?
Left lane, you know, the players, as we said, 35 feet, you've got to keep your speed up. You really have to almost throw the ball sometimes. Just hasn't projected the ball far enough to the right. And now Norm for a double.
Well, the problem is on the left lane, if you project it too far, it doesn't get back. So it's just got to be perfect.
Detonates him.
Not to jinx anybody, but that type of shot there looks really solid right now.
Really good.
And Delutz cleans things up.
And, you know, talking about the way guys play lanes, it's not easy to do what Norm's doing. It looks effortless, to be able to go out there and roll the ball dead straight with very little spin on it. It's not easy to do, and actually a lot of guys out here wish they could do that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Norm makes it look so easy. He's so versatile, and that's why he's won as many times as he has.
And there, Tim finally got one out far enough to the right, and a perfect result.
Well, I think 6-month-old Amanda and wife Sherry likes what they see. Amanda, a regular on the tour.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Sherry said the biggest thing is hoping she doesn't start crying right in the middle of Daddy Bowling. I noticed Chad Michael wasn't in the crowd. Chad Anna was here.
Chad was running around somewhere.
Tommy in the 5th frame. He's really lined up on this right lane. Needs to keep a little pressure on Norm. Don't let him start going out there and freewheeling. A little heavy, but trips the 4 out.
Nice break there. This ball's going to drift high. Catches a lot of the head pin, and then the nice little trip 4. That's always a nice break.
Well, Norm Duke telling me last night he was so disappointed in the way he bowled, he was going to go back and beat himself up mentally. Said he knew he could bowl better. It worked.
Great shot out there.
We've got a battle in Tucson in match number 2. Right now, Norm Duke with a 19-pin lead. We'll be back. Along with Randy Pedersen, Brian Voss, I'm Ron Thule. We've got a battle going on in our 2nd match of the afternoon, and right now, Norm Duke is our leader. He's got a 3-bagger.
As we looked at the scoreboard, we see that Tim's down 20 pins, can cut that to 10 with a strike here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just gets the love tap on the 10 pin.
You know, and you're asking Tim to do something he's not he's not comfortable doing. You're asking him to move right and go straight. He likes to loop it. That ball is looking for the channel and then goes, woohoo, let me wheel back for a nice little love tap on the 10.
Now, as soon as Tommy Delutz Jr. let the ball go, he knew that was not a good shot. He looked up and just started shaking his head.
We all do. As soon as that ball comes off our hand, we know exactly where it's going, and at that point, you just pray. No split, just give me a spare.
And here is Norm Duke, says no secret, he wants the PBA Player of the Year.
And he increases 10-pin lead to 20, and he gets it.
Well, right now, somebody ought to get Norm a cup of coffee to go with that sweet roll. Because he's putting it to him.
I used that line.
You used my line?
I stole it from you.
Oh, my.
I told you I was.
Nice conversion.
Let's see when you're gone.
Thanks, Ron.
I use you and abuse you, baby.
That's right.
All right, we got a little battle going on now. Tim Criss is down 20 pins, can decrease it to 10 with a strike here. And this has been the tough lane. Let's see if he gets it out to the right.
Hold. Very nice.
You know, Brian, last week, Randy and I were talking about how methodical Tim is. And all of a sudden you look up and you're down 20 pins, and he just keeps going constantly.
He's just a relentless shot maker. He's really good at what he does. He doesn't go out there and try and do a lot of different things with his hand. He just juggles balls around and does the same thing all the time. He's very good at it.
Tommy Delutz.
Tommy working on a little Dutch 200.
We got a little friction right, folks.
Yeah.
We're going to watch this go way out to the 2 board, and the head pin's going to tickle everything else. And what hit that 10 pin? That was a lot of
I don't know, shrapnel, I think.
Something bothered him in the backswing there. Regroup himself.
Most players wouldn't stop. And that just shows you how focused Norm is.
To the cries of Duke.
I think one thing you'll really notice about Norm's swing, how much he uses gravity to his advantage. It's totally effortless, as does Tim Criss. And there's other players that like to pull down on it a little bit, but
well, Norm has been warned on a shot clock violation. Believe it or not, the pros do have one.
Tim's down 20. He can make it 10. And Tim staying right there with Norm.
Tim getting his wood on. All of a sudden goes our straighter ball, moves right, takes his hand out of it a little bit, and next thing you know, he's got a 5-bagger. It's pretty impressive.
Tommy needs a strike here to have any chance in this match.
He's down by 29 pieces of wood.
Still didn't get it out far enough to the right. Just a little bit slow on the speed.
See, it wasn't just me. The left lane is brutal.
It's always something other than us.
Right, exactly.
But we've had seen less success on the left lane than the right lane, though, this afternoon so far.
It's a big shot for Norm. 9th frame. Set up the 10th frame. Just dead perfect. And he's into it.
Wow.
He's into it. So it's a battle between Duke and Criss right now.
Well, Norm Duke, top 10 every tournament this year but one. And as we take a look at our scoreboard, we can see Tommy Delutz Jr. down by 39 pins. Tim Criss down by 10. 6 in a row now for Norm Duke. And Tim Criss is up. 5 titles in his 16-year pro career. 3rd TV appearance this season.
Tim working on 220 right now. Norm's working on 240. So he's going to need a strike on this left lane.
And he needs some help from Norm.
I don't see him getting any help from Norm.
The ball needs to hold.
Oh,
That's
my.
help, folks. That's what you call help.
Hello.
That's a blessing.
Yeah. I want to know what this guy's eating for breakfast.
You're going to watch this crossover. You're going to see the 3-pin off the wall, trip out the 6. Just a tremendous break. Sad to happy.
No style points in bowling, guys. Tommy Delutz.
Tommy struck every time on the right lane this game. Tommy potentially 220. Just trying to get out of the way, but here's the match right here. Norm Duke with a strike here will put him on a 250 pace. 2 of them will shut Tim Criss out, but he's got to have the first one. He gets the light hit.
Well,
Not too excited yet.
The sound you hear is the door closing on his 2 opponents.
What a great touch he has from out there. He's the best I've ever seen it. No handing it up the gutter. And he knows this shot is good. He's running it out. And he's like, oh, yeah.
That is unbelievable.
He should just get on a plane and go to Vegas right now.
Good clean living there, folks.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Good clean living.
Two potential open frame splits. They turn into strikes, keeps him right in the match. Norm's looking at the scoreboard. He knows the situation. And then Tom's just trying to get any kind of strike in the left lane, and not again.
I've got a feeling that the guy who has a choice of lanes for the next match is going to choose to finish on the right lane. I'm going out on a limb here.
And they should give you part of their prize money.
Tim Criss. Let's see if he can make a good shot. Got this one well to the right. Here it comes. And he got the light hit again.
They're not going down hard, but they are going down.
Oh, my. That ball looked like it was headed for the gutter and just wheeled.
That strike put him dead even with Norm Duke. Now, this fill ball is extremely important. A strike here would give him 259. That would force Norm to get a strike. We have a possibility of a tie also. Tim's been all over the place the last 3 shots. He's going to try and get lined up.
Yeah, the luck ran out.
Take again.
Well,
He'll take 9 on that shot.
You know, you got to get 9 or 10. 10 would be really good, but don't run the risk of throwing the ball in the channel. We've seen a lot of good balls this week.
And there's the final ball for Tommy in the left lane. Who doesn't know that? Last shot, fill ball, it always strikes.
Tommy wants to know where his patch is for his Dutch 200.
All right,
That's
Norm
right.
in the 10th frame. 9 spare strike is a tie. Strike is a winner. And he got it.
And we have it. Norm Duke is going after his 19th career title. And he is the winner of match number 2. When we return to Tucson, we'll send Randy down for a little bit of On Target. And welcome back to the MSN Open in Tucson, Arizona. And our winner of match number 2, Norm Duke. Tim Criss winds up 2nd, and Tommy Delutz Jr., the winner of match number 1, finishes 3rd. And as we do each and every week, we send it down to our pro, Randy Pedersen, with the tip of the week.
Welcome to On Target with Brunswick. I'm Randy Pedersen. Today's question comes from Bill Thomas of Gambrills, Maryland. Bill asked about playing the break point and how that is different from spot bowling. Well, Bill, generally in spot bowling, we look at a target that's maybe the dots, which is 8 feet away, or the arrows, which is about 15 feet away. When you start looking at a break point, which is the part on the lane where the ball starts to turn towards the pocket, that could be anywhere from 35, 40, 45, even 50 feet away. The further that target gets away from you, the harder it is to hit. My suggestion is to look somewhere between the dots and the arrows, and you'll be fine. Thanks for your question, Bill.
Thanks, Randy. Submit your question on PBA.com or BrunswickBowling.com. If your question is used on the air, we'll send you a free contact zone and a target zone, plus a double bag to carry them. Even if you don't send a question, you can still get a free target zone when you buy a high-performance ball from a participating pro shop by July 31st. So you too can be on target with Brunswick. And when our coverage of the MSN Open continues, the Duke will take on a couple of juniors. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the MSN Open in beautiful Tucson, Arizona. Beautiful day, temperature hovering around 100, but then again, it is a dry heat. Go Norm, bowl at 300, please, and they're begging. Nobody would like that more than Norm Duke on your left, Bob Learn Jr. in the middle, and another junior, Patrick Healey Jr., originally from Niagara Falls, New York, now living in Mexico City with his lovely wife, Teresa, who's in the audience, the 31-year-old.
Patrick is a really solid shot maker, much in the same class as Tim Criss, except he gets a little more hand into it, but just up there and relentless at good balance and great shots. That's as good as it gets right there.
You know, you're also talking about a guy that has tons and tons of international experience, much like Mika Koivuniemi.
Yes.
Wow.
That's good.
Yeah.
The big fin.
Norm with a solid 10.
Ranked 4th in the PBA right now, Norm Duke. And here is Bob Learn Jr. Cashed for only the second time this year. Did it last week in Wichita, finishing second.
There was a child over there moving around, distracted Bob a little bit. And I think what we're going to see, Bob's going to try and play in the lanes a lot like Norm, except he's going to be throwing the ball. A little different from Norm's nice, relaxed swing.
Starting way over to the right. Let's take a closer look at Norm Duke.
We're going to watch Norm start. We're going to watch his right foot and his right elbow right there. That is a very common thing that you see amongst great players. You put your feet and your swing in sync by doing that, folks.
Something I'm going to go home and practice.
2, 4, 5, 8 bucket.
I got to do something.
Hard and straight. As they say in Japan, that was the speed the ball.
That was the heater.
Well, Bob Learn, no matter what happens now in this match, he will go for $1 million in career earnings.
Nice to see Bob bowling well again. He struggled all year, making back-to-back telecasts.
Patrick Healey Jr. That's the way to open things up. You know, what was impressive is in the positioning around the last game last night, he bowled a 277. Talk about just standing up, and he moved up in the standings and took over that number 2 seed.
Normally left lane, we'll see the same little butt shot right up the gutter. He didn't like something. We're seeing a lot of those Brookleys today, man.
Yeah, well, believe me, I can understand why.
Well, as soon as he let it go, his reaction was not very good. You can see him already turning.
Trying to get that to about the 3rd board. It started on the 5th board, had no chance, and fortunate to get a strike.
Well, just when you think Bob Learn was doing well, on Monday after he got home from Wichita, was involved in a car wreck. Let's take a look at his form.
We're going to watch Bob. He just gets the ball started, runs past the ball, gets up there and throws it. But I tell you what, he's got a knack for throwing strikes. More than 6,300 games in his life.
Yeah, and he's no stranger to throwing it right up the rail either.
Patrick to take an early 20-pin lead.
Well, he really wanted to concentrate, gentlemen, on his knee bend. He said he wanted to project the ball long today. Why don't you explain that, Randy, first?
Well, you can see that on that shot there, he didn't project it near as long as he wanted. And what happens is when you don't project it on that left lane especially, the ball's going to go high. This week was definitely a week, and I think Brian will agree, that you had to project the ball right when the lane started to hook.
Yeah, good question. Ooh, a little strip 4 there. Thank you very much.
That was nice. The ball bit just a little bit too hard off the gutter, and then all of a sudden set up right in front of the head pin and trip 4.
Here's something that.
I'm sorry, Brian. Here's something Mr. Voss has done enough times in his career.
Way out to the 2 board, hooks back. He knew it was going to be a little high. Just trip the 4, baby, he says, and he does. Oh, yeah.
Great reaction. And here is Bob Learn. Said on Monday when he got back home in Erie, it was raining. A young man ran a stoplight, hit his driver's side, hurt his left leg, his left thigh, and of course next week, Bob Learn defending his U.S. Open title. Right now there's a battle, 1 pin.
All 3 players, anybody's game right now. Patrick doing a little work down there.
I think the key here is you've got 2 guys that are playing, they're throwing the darts right up the edge, and then you've got 1 guy that's hooking it. And to be honest, I mean, I think the straight shot is the one that's going to work. I just think the left lane there's too much trouble when you hook it.
Just the 4 pin. What Randy was saying, you know, us pros out here on tour, we look for what we call margin of error. How can I roll the ball that's going to give me the maximum margin of error? How can I miss right or miss left and still have an opportunity to strike? And I think that's the way Norm plays this game. A little bit different than
Well, experience does have a factor, and that's something Patrick Healey brought up to us last night, saying when he knows he's on TV, you have to understand the lanes, which is exactly what you're talking about, and you have to think constantly.
Well, a lot of it is anticipation. Every time you roll that bowling ball, the lane changes.
Well, so much has gone right for Norm Duke. What went wrong on this show, Randy?
Well, Brian, to me it looks like he just gets a little fast here.
Yeah.
And the ball just never turned over down the lane. Very lucky he didn't leave the bucket.
You're very lucky you made that spare.
Yeah. It was a little close.
All right, close match. Bob Learn actually can take an 12-pin lead with a strike here.
Well, he was 20th heading into match play, but he's got so much confidence coming off last week in Wichita.
Soft 10,
You're going to get it?
You know, I think the thing that's important here is, you know, the lane conditions that we bowled on all week, and especially today, is unlike anything the folks at home are bowling on. I mean, this is stuff here where you've got to make really, really good shots out of your hand. You have to duplicate shots, and you have to hit what you're looking at. I mean, these are the greatest in the world, and you can see what's happening when they don't make a good shot.
Yeah. And I think you also had to play the lanes a lot of different ways this week. Generally speaking, guys were either doing what Bob and Norm are doing right in the gutter, or inside really hooking the ball.
Right, and from one game to the next, they would do that.
Yeah.
Actually, sometimes during the game, start out trying to hook it. That doesn't work. You find yourself in a hole, and all of a sudden you move to your B game, which may be throwing it straight hard up the gutter, and you bail the game out. That went on all week long.
Patrick Healey, who's best finished this year, 5th at the TPC in Akron. He's keeping pace with everybody. He's only down by 2 pins.
It's a tight match.
Duke, our leader, or I should say Bob Learn, our leader. Duke just a pin down.
All working on spares. The strike is just to set up the next strike. A little bit high, but he's happy.
He's still not satisfied.
Well, you know, when you have as much talent as Norm does, you're always striving for perfection. Not that Brian and I don't, because we always do, but you know, this guy's got lots of talent, can do anything he wants to a bowling ball, and he's looking to win.
Well, Bob Learn Jr. conquers the left lane, at least on that frame. We've got a battle in our match here in Tucson. When we return, more action coming your way. Next week, of course, we will be in Phoenix, Arizona for the U.S. Open.
Halfway through this match, 2 pins separating all the players, but the other guys are working on strikes. Patrick needs to get something going here.
And he does.
Excellent shot.
Looked like he moved in, Brian.
Yep. Well, that was it all week. You could play right out by the gutter or move in. Patrick's just such a great shot maker. You very seldom see him off balance. Every single time looks exactly the same. And he's got really good hand action.
This comes down to such concentration when these 3 are locked in this close of a battle.
Norm to take a 9-pin lead. Gets the light hit.
Norm's just getting his groove on. He says, you know what, guys? I got a lot left here, and let me show you what I can do from the gutter.
Just the ball was a little light the last time on that lane. He made a little adjustment and gets a lot close right. Bob to stay with Norm. To actually take a 1-pin lead with a strike here. It's close.
Well, while Norm Duke has his candy bar, Bob Learn's knocking him down. This is a battle of 2 great veterans. Then you have the youngster, Patrick Healey Jr., standing right in there with him. Go ahead and finish, Norm. It's okay.
Wow. I have no trouble trying to breathe down there. Norm's having lunch. That's good.
All right, Patrick's down 12 pins to basically both guys. A strike here would just put him right back in the match. And trips the board.
Wife Teresa likes it.
Boy, just super people. His wife, Teresa, her son, Victor, just sweet people. Very nice people.
Yeah.
Patrick's Spanish is getting very, very good, too. I was carrying on a little conversation with him in the parking lot last night when we got done.
I'm trying to convince him to move to San Antonio.
Duke, more speed on that. He's waving it in. He's got there.
Good body English.
He knows he got away with it. Just a little bit too much speed.
I'll have what he's having.
Light hit once again. The ball tickles the 5. Headpin takes care of the rest. Bob to stay right with you.
That's amazing. You can throw that straight ball and knock these logs down like that. That's left.
That's left.
That was left all the way.
He likes that.
That's a huge break. Let me tell you something. Shooting the 3, 6, 9, 10 on that left lane, that's no bargain.
Look how close he is to the ball return.
Well, Bob drifts left, and when you're playing, when you're playing the gutter outside the first arrow, you've got to get as far right as you can.
There are times when you have to manipulate your approach because of the ball racing. So quite possibly he would like to stand far. Uh-oh, that's trouble.
Now, Randy, you and I were talking, when you start varying your approach like that, sometimes your vision gets off of what you're seeing. That can be a problem. You have to adjust that.
Hard to strip the problem.
Well, let's see how Patrick needs to make the 2-8.
There's really two ways. Norm Duke, when he shoots this, throws the ball dead straight, tries to hit the 2-pin dead on, but you're going to see Patrick hook the ball at this. Anywhere on the right side of the 2-pin will carry out the 8. Anywhere on the right side of it with this much hook.
Well, Patrick Healey, who led rounds 1, 2, and 3 of qualifying, yet to win on the PBA Tour. How about a chance to win, and you're going up against two veterans like Duke and Learn?
Yeah, well,
my goodness.
If I was going for my first title, Norm wouldn't be my first choice of opponent to try to win against.
And this to take it to 20.
That's pure. That's pure.
Not enough O's in sweet for that, or smooth for that. I'm not going to ask you who your first choice would be, because I think you're still in a bad mood.
Well, I'd take Ryan Shafer. No, just kidding. The guy wins last week.
Oh,
so,
boy.
You called it, Randy. You said we've seen a couple gutters this year.
Well,
unopportune.
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate time for this to happen, but, we saw this all week. You play that close to the edge, one gets away from you, you miss it just a hair at the bottom, and it's in.
He didn't get that off his hand the way he wanted to, and the big goose egg. On a spare, too. That's devastating. You lose 10 pins in count. And now he goes 30 pins behind Norm, even if with a spare. And that's usually what you see. You miss to the right, don't want to throw it in the gutter again.
Absolutely.
Miss to the right.
Yep.
Just like that.
And he looks over at his wife, Stacy, can only shrug his shoulders as we take a look at the scoreboard. Norm Duke now with a big-time lead, working on a 4-bagger.
Right now, he's probably looking at Patrick Healey as his only competition this match. If Bob were to strike out, he would probably shoot 216. Norm's working on a 230 pace. Any kind of fill in the next 2 frames is going to beat that. So he's looking to beat Patrick Healey right now.
Down by 23 pins.
Left lane.
Left lane.
When we talk about margin of error, there just is no margin of error, it appears, in the left lane by hooking the ball. You miss a little left and the ball goes further left. That's the worst case scenario you want to be in. You want to be able to miss left and have the ball fade towards the body.
I think the other thing, too, is when the lanes are tough, throwing it straight is the best way to go. And all these kids at home trying to hook it. Oh, yeah. Look at this guy just running him over. These other guys are getting stopped like a narc at a biker rally trying to hook it. Norm's getting out there with a straight ball and just peeling him.
Yeah. And that puts him on a 240 pace. The best Patrick can shoot is 224. Bob Leonard can shoot 216. So barring any kind of disaster, Norm will be in the next match.
Does he play it safe now?
I think he'll stand left and try to hit the headpin, or at least miss left. He's not going to get close to the gutter.
Well, Bob was doing a little dancing out there, trying to get the ball to move.
Let's put it this way. If Norm does miss, it's going to be left.
It will be left, yes.
And that's the mindset he'll probably have when he throws that shot.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss, we'll miss left.
Norm, who really struggled in 4 of his last 5 games in match play, sub-200 games. He was trying to get the ball outside of the line early, and he has done that here today so far.
I pulled Norm the game before position round. He said he was having trouble getting to the foul line, which, I don't know, Brian, you know Norm a lot better than I do, but I would translate that into little timing problems.
Yeah. Well, when you're a versatile player, and you go from playing the lane, particularly rolling it straight, hooking it, your feet are faster. You've got a couple different games, and there's like 3 different dances. They're all different steps. And, sometimes you just don't get everything in sync.
And he's probably the best at going from one to the next as quickly as he does. It doesn't take him 4 or 5 shots to go from one to the next, like it does me.
Well, that just about does it for Norm Duke.
That's the advantage of being able to roll the ball straight. You got a higher percentage. The ball's going to hit it kind of solid, but it bounces to the right. He flexed to the right because he rolled it straight. High percentage shot.
Patrick Healey with a strike, but our winner is Norm Duke in match number 3. And he will advance to the title match against Criss Barnes. You couldn't have scripted any better. And Bob Learn will look back at that gutter ball.
One shot.
One shot. And with a strike, coming up next, our championship match as Norm Duke looks for his 3rd win of the year. Barnes versus Duke next. Along with Randy Pedersen and Brian Voss, I'm Ron Thulin, welcoming you back to the MSN Open in Tucson, Arizona. Our tournament summary, you can see, of course, next week, though, we go to the U.S. Open in Phoenix, Arizona. And that is one title that has eluded Norm Duke from the Triple Crown. And just a reminder, any junior bowler will be admitted to the telecast next Saturday, absolutely free. And amateurs also during that time will be given a chance to convert a 7-10 split for $1 million. These guys are battling for $20,000 prize money. Criss Barnes on the right out of Topeka, Kansas, and Norm Duke on the left. And of course, these two met in the title match in Portland last year, and that was won by Criss Barnes.
And there's a shot. Criss deciding to start the match so he can finish on the right lane.
he has been watching.
He's a smart guy.
That's the way to open up. Brian, you and Randy both have been in this position. How difficult is it to sit and watch and then have to come up and bowl?
Well, I think you're studying what the players are doing and the tendencies of their bad shots on those lanes. Studying those and saying, how can I avoid that? What can I do to just totally get out of that? Criss has decided to move left of everybody else, and Norm Duke is right of everybody else. It's a little light, and he gets it.
Now, Randy, we'll go to the other side of the coin. How is it for Norm having bowled a couple of games now, and now he understands what the lanes are doing?
Well, Norm's the relaxed one. You know, he's got 2 games under his belt. He knows what the lanes are doing. You know, there's no guessing. He's you know, he's the one that's the most poised right now. Criss, you know, hopefully a couple of shots before he gets his nerves kind of under control, and hopefully along the way while he's doing that, he strikes.
That's a good shot. Solid 10.
94 Player of the Year, 93 won the Masters. His 18-year career, over $1 million.
And, you know, when Norm was a teenager, he was one of what we call the best action players in the game. As a teenager, he'd bowl anybody for any amount of money, and he was real good at it. 10-pin, we'll see a real straight ball. Very relaxed swing, no throwing.
Timing and rhythm has been a key this week. Criss Barnes, though, telling us last night that the gentleman, he's been all over the lanes. He says he's had to move right, he's had to move left. He says he hasn't changed balls a lot, just he's had to move where he begins.
Well, welcome to our planet, Criss. We had to do the same thing, pal. Only problem is he did a lot better than most of us.
Wow.
Brian, he's playing that little rollout shot.
That ball's rolling out right before it gets to the head pin.
There's his wife, Linda.
And a great bowler in her own right, too.
Finished second at last year's
U.S. Open.
Last year's U.S. Open, finished second.
Well, we saw Criss in the Masters in Albuquerque, and I think it'd be a fair statement, and Brian, I think you probably agree, and Randy, that this man is going to be the man in years to come.
I think that the general consensus among the players, you know, we know talent when we see it, and Criss has got everything. He plays lanes any way imaginable. He's got great imagination, and he's a strong kid too, and he's young.
And he's very confident, and he practices
just like that. Dead flush on the tough lane.
Right, on the tough lane
that nobody else figured out.
The guy works as hard as anybody on his game with Coach Fred Borden, and he's very confident in his ability and his talent. Not to mention the fact that he's really good.
he can also bowl.
Yeah.
It's Norm Duke working on a
20
spare.
pins early.
He's in the third.
Hits the right lane. Little light hit. He knows he needs a strike here on the left lane. You don't want to give anybody an opportunity to go up there and just freewheel it.
Yeah, there is Pete Townis, the co-proprietor of Golden Pin Lanes and two-time PBA champion.
One of the nicest guys in the business.
Big shot right here.
Gonna get it.
Well, good break. You know, he avoids the split. But Brian, that shot looked left.
It looked left off his hand.
Yeah.
I think he knew that.
I think he knows that.
Anticipating change out here, Randy. You know it. Every time you roll a ball that takes off oil, you've got to anticipate that change. And here we have a 610. We'll see him roll it very straight, high percentage. Take out what we call the chop.
Cover both pins with the ball.
That's it.
Criss Barnes, who has his own fan club. You can reach him at bowlingfans.com/Barnes. Said most of his friends are up in Spooner, Wisconsin. All the guys are up there, Dino D and the gang. He says he'd love to have a victory today to give him something to talk about tonight.
Wow. That's just pure, right?
That's a way to begin, huh?
Opening up the entire lane and then the ball actually rolling out and stopping.
Well, you know, Randy, when you're bowling, if you see a part of the lane that if you miss left and it goes left and you miss right and it goes right, that's a part of the lane you totally avoid. You either get way right of it or way left.
I agree.
And he's further left than we've seen anybody today.
Yeah.
The concentration of Barnes, and Norm Duke has to be wondering if there will be a crack in that concentration. Down by 30 pins, Barnes with the lead. Wow.
And there's a breath of life when you're sitting on the bench.
That was the big giant wheel. That ball going all the way out to the first board and just sawing back. Comes up just a pinch light.
Criss, you know he kind of got away with 9.
Yeah.
You'll see this ball go hard and straight. A little left, but that's why you throw it straight. All right, it's probably going to start this out at about the 18th board, all the way out to 2, and it almost makes it back. And if it hadn't rolled out, it would have made it back.
Right.
And Norm Duke, he has a little daylight. Down by 29.
I think that's Norm's favorite lane right now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. You know, the thing about these two guys is that the position that they're in right now is something that they thrive on. That they want to be in the spotlight. They just live for this moment, bowling for the title and bowling against the best in the world.
That's it.
Norm made no bones about the fact, and along with Criss, both of them, that PBA Player of the Year is high on their list of priorities. But it begins today.
Big shot right here. Better shot. Gets the 10-pin out.
And he gets the left lane. Norm Duke is still alive. Can Criss Barnes answer? We'll find out when we return. Some of the Saguaro cactus inside the Golden Pin Lanes in Tucson for the MSN Open. MSN, the Microsoft Network, the first entitlement sponsorship since the PBA was purchased in April by the 3 investors, Chris Peters, Rob Glazier, and Mike Slade. And Chris Peters' 4th championship round appearance. He has the lead. Oh my. I'm sorry, Criss Barnes. Second one we've seen.
Second one we've seen. Honest bear, too. Loses 10 pins count. He can fall behind in the match if he doesn't pick this up in one shot.
Yeah. Right out of commercial, maybe lack of concentration or something, but that ball is definitely too far right.
His wife, Linda. She knows what that feels like, I'm sure.
She's been there before.
If he picks this up, he'll maintain a 10-pin lead, basically. But like I said, with an open, he gives Norm a 2-pin lead. In one shot.
All right, that's a way to overcome the adversity.
Hey, take a deep breath, you know, get back on the horse again, pal. Make another shot here on the left lane and forget it, that shot's over.
You know, we've all done it. Thrown a gutter ball on the first shot, and that's the last thing you want to do is throw another one.
Now, Norm has been sitting an awful lot. He was sitting before he went to the break, now during the break, now Criss is back up. How difficult is it for him?
Norm's been there. I'm sure he's going over everything in his mind, exactly where he's going, feeling the tempo that he wants to feel, and getting it off his hand the right way. He's practicing that in his mind.
Wow. Left lane, no problem. Barnes 0-2 as a tournament leader. He's had success on these two TV lanes this week, averaging just about 246. Right now he has the advantage, but Norm Duke right behind.
Norm with a strike here can tie the match up. Just like that. That's a good shot. He's running it out. He's into it.
At one point, he was trailing by 30 pins.
You know, because of the angle that Norm's playing, he's going straight up the lane, straight with the boards. The odds of him throwing it in the gutter aren't very good. You know, if he's going to miss, his misses are going to be left.
Yes. If both players were to strike out from here on in, Norm Duke would shoot 260, Criss Barnes would shoot 259. So it's Norm Duke with a 1-pin lead right now.
Left.
Called it.
You know, you could see when it came off of his hand, he knew for some reason it was going to miss left, and he tried to fan it at the last second. Didn't quite hold. He's actually fortunate just to leave the 4-7. Let's watch his hand. You know, he kind of fanned it out there to the right. I think good players instinctively know that when the ball gets to the back of their backswing, that they're going to miss left or right.
And normally when you miss left like that, the ball gets down at the bottom of the swing a little too early, causing a pull. Maybe Norm was a little amped up, got that strike, maybe got a little fast. The ball got down to the bottom of the swing just a hair early.
Barnes
Leads by a pin, can increase it to 11. Remember, he had the gutter ball in his lane last time. It's the light hit again.
Yep.
I mean, Barnes looks like he's in a trance. You see him when he's up on the approach, his eyes, he just looks like he's in a fog. The only thing going through his mind is the target he's looking at. He doesn't, there's nothing else, it doesn't look like there's anything else going on in there.
And that concentration and the reaction to a man that has cashed and made match play in every tournament he has bowled this year, the only player on the tour to do so. He likes what he sees. PBA Rookie of the Year back in '98, currently ranked 6th. Graduated from Wichita State.
Strike on this ball, Norm Duke can go up there and shut him out. So this is really a big shot.
Beat it! Beat it!
Did he get out of that? Oh, the solid 8.
We saw it in Albuquerque, happened to a number of guys. We're seeing it here, and Norm, there's some life left.
Well, I mean, it's absolutely the worst break that anybody can ever get in bowling. Watch this ball just wheeling. I mean, probably one of his best shots of the match, and just a solid 8. Just a horrible break. But a good break for Norm.
Good break for Norm. Norm knows if he gets 9 there, he can go up and throw 4 strikes in a row, and the tournament's his. He can strike out for 238. Oh, actually, we can have a tie.
Yeah. Both on pace for 238.
Both working on spares, the count is really big at this point.
Uh-oh. Oh! Little bird dog action. How's that?
He's got a friend in the back, all right?
Watch this shot here. This ball drifting a little light. North saying, come on, hurry, ball. The head pick goes to the wall, just comes scouting for the 10. What a great break.
And from another angle, watch this. Come on. Come on. Bink.
No, down by 10.
Nice reaction.
Tied up right here.
Game on.
Game on. It's as good as it gets right there, folks.
It is game on.
This is vintage Norm Duke. Just right at him. He knows right when it came off his hand, it was going to be dead flush. He got it.
Looks like he moved in a pinch on that lane, Brian.
Yeah, that lane's been, you started to lose it a few frames ago. I think he nudged a little bit left. Another big shot coming up.
I'll tell you that. What a awful time for that to happen, leaving a solid 8, 9th frame.
Well, and look back also at the 6th frame.
But you know what?
He came back from that.
It's anybody's game, though. He's got to suck it up and strike out the 10. That's close. Oh, almost another solid 8.
The last second.
Unbelievable.
Here we are, folks. One shot. If he strikes, he'll win this tournament. 9. 9 would give him 2. I'm sorry. You're right. 238 would lock up a tie.
The man who was just 18 years old when he won a tournament in Cleveland back in 1983.
I'll tell you what, this is a big shot. If you get a striker 9, really puts the on your opponent. If you get 7, your opponent really feels like he's got the advantage. Oh,
How about 8?
like that. I mean, I know Chris still needs a double and 9 to win. But let me tell you something. Feeling like you need a double and 9 as opposed to 3 and the 10th to tie.
Yeah.
Completely different story.
It all comes down to the final 3 balls.
2 and 9. Chris Barnes is the winner.
And Criss on this right lane has 3 strikes and a gutter spare. So other than the gutter, he struck every single time last night. Must strike on this shot.
Needs a hook. Hit it!
We saw Norm do it in the 9th frame. Criss says, now it's my turn, baby.
Wow.
If you can do it, I can do it.
That ball just going all the way out to the edge. Here comes the head pin. Oh!
Maybe.
Look at those eyes. He's like, yes!
Now, Chris Barnes has been given a shot clock violation. Brian, what's that mean?
That means he's got 3 out, basically. But he's thinking about a strike right now. He's just going to forget about that.
Right.
Go up there, get another strike.
That means nothing. If he needs to take another shot clock violation to make this shot right here, he's going to do it.
Right.
Gotta have this.
Oh, and he didn't get it. Norm Duke is your winner.
Norm Duke has won again in the year 2000. Our champion in Tucson. And we'll be back to wrap things up after this. And congratulations to our winner, Norm Duke. He wins with 236, 228 for Chris Barnes. That is Norm's 3rd win of the year. Just a reminder, next week, the final stop on the summer tour in Phoenix, Arizona for bowling's U.S. Open Championship presented by AMF. For Brian Voss and Randy Pedersen, I'm Ron Thulin. Thanks for watching, and so long, everybody.